Palestinians and the movement for the self-determination of the Palestinian people. We have always been on the right side. And alhamdulillah, we have stayed consistent in being on the right side, even in the face of so many relentless attacks on the movement in which we have been a part of. What's really interesting now is that I'm not on the defensive anymore. I don't have to defend human rights. I'm not on the defensive. The people who have to be on the defensive are the Zionists. Because we as Palestinian Americans and Muslim Americans in America, we are looking at the southern border and we're saying we are outraged and we stand against the children who are being stripped from their parents at the border. We are also saying that we are against a wall between us and Mexico that's going to separate our two peoples. So I don't have to defend that because I'm also against the detainment and separation of children in Palestine. I'm also against the apartheid wall in Palestine. So the people who have to defend themselves now are Zionists. How can you, and this is what I tell college students, you don't even have to make statements. Just frame it into a question. Ask those who call themselves progressive Zionists to explain to you how can they be against the separation of children on the U.S.-Mexican border? How can they be against building a wall between us and Mexico? How can they be against agencies like ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, but then you support and then you tell me, oh, I'm with you, you can't push me out of the movement because I'm also against white supremacy. Ask them this, how can you be against white supremacy in the United States of America and the idea of living in a supremacist state based on race and class, but then you support a state like Israel that is built on supremacy, that is built on the idea that Jews are supreme to everybody else? How do you then not support the caging of children at the U.S.-Mexican border, but then you support the detainment and the detention of Palestinian children in Palestine? How does that work, sisters and brothers? That's why I'm not on the defensive anymore. I know what side I'm on. We as Palestinian Americans, we are consistent revolutionaries. We stand with all oppressed people all over the world, from the Uyghur Muslims in China to the Rohingya Muslims in Burma. We stand with the people of Syria. We stand with the people that are standing up against dictatorships across the world, including in places like South America. And as Palestinian Americans and those who support the liberation of the Palestinian people, we stand up for oppressed communities in these United States of America. We are a consistent people. I don't have to defend my morals and my principles because my morality is consistent and it does not stop at the state of Israel. Sisters and brothers, everything is connected. The same people who justify the murder of Palestinian civilians are the same people who justify the murders of unarmed black people by police in the United States of America, are the same people who are against bringing refugees into this country. They are the same people who want to deport 11 million undocumented immigrants. So of course our communities are connected. The reason why I'm a solidarity activist in America is because I believe as a Palestinian that my liberation as a Palestinian is intertwined with the liberation of all oppressed people all over the world. I truly believe that in the United States of America, when black people are free in this country, we'll all be free. We will all be free when black people are free. Sisters and brothers, I know everything that I need to know about the impact and the organization and the wealth of resources that the Zionist movement in America has. I've been at the receiving end. I've been catching those balls for the last few years. There is an article in the Haaretz, which, as you know, is a Jewish media outlet, where they exposed an Israeli spy firm funded by Sheldon Adelson to specifically target me and my family. They were spying on me and my family to try to dig up information so that they can figure out how to build a disinformation campaign against me. They targeted me at the Women's March. They were beyond themselves to see a Palestinian woman in a hijab who's a supporter of the boycott, divestment, sanction movement at one of the highest and largest platforms in America. They said, this lady gotta go. And we will do whatever it takes. Give me the money, whatever we gotta do. This one woman, we're gonna do everything.